Welcome. My name is Carol Szynski, and I'm a descendant of Jose Antonio Navarro through his son Celso. I have been doing research on the Navarro family for over 50 years. It was my grandfather, Joe Celso Navarro. At age 11, was already passing on information to me. We all know the story about the Roots fella. I never have had any goals like that to make any money off of my learning about our ancestors. Most people that know me know that. It's more important to get the information out. I was basically saying that, I've many years of learning, and this is the whole key. We all want to learn about our ancestors and all. At a very early age, he was just an average citizen of San Antonio, Texas. Due to an injury he had to his foot, he was limited to what he could do. So he was never a warrior. You've heard of many battles in the Texas area that happened because there was a lot of unrest. So Mr. Navarro was taught by his uncle, Francisco Ruiz, a lot of laws from Spain. So Mr. Navarro more went that way and was very influential in a lot of things that happened in Texas. And I was saying here that the area was very fraught with problems, lots of problems, but neither one of them shied away from wanting to do good for their posterity, because they could have easily not cared, but they did care. Mr. Navarro was a senator in the Republic of Texas, and one of the things he did was be sure that something got corrected in one of the bills, which would have only included white people and left out the other peoples of the world, meaning Spanish and Mexicans and perhaps even anybody else, and he didn't like that. So he wanted it to be inclusive of everyone else. So he was fighting for Tejano rights many, many years ago. And we all know that many, many things are already written about Mr. Navarro and Mr. Ruiz. So I was talking with my daughter from Indiana, who helped me do a lot of this correcting of grammatical errors and the wording. She helped me a lot. And because of her doing that, she was amazed at just how much Mr. Navarro had accomplished and done. And she worked in a school, so it was important for them to know that. Different things, like he was like Martin Luther King, who was fighting, he was doing great things for people of color and everything. And he was defending their rights too, just like Navarro was doing. And also he was like Thomas Jefferson, because he helped draft the Texas Constitution, and of course him and Mr. Francisco Ruiz were signers of the Texas Declaration of Independence. So here you have two native sons that really accomplished a lot for the wonderful state of Texas.
I have a book here that Mr. Ruiz put together in Spanish. He was born here in San Antonio, and he went to study in Spain, so that's the only language he knew, Spanish. In all his doings throughout the state, when he came back as a young man, he was appointed the first schoolmaster. It's all in his biography, the handout that I gave you out. But I'm just going to touch bases on what important things he did. He was the first school teacher here in San Antonio, and he did teaching at his parents' house that he acquired after his parents were gone there. That house sits at the Whitty Museum and is still used for educational purposes there.
I have a question. What was the reason for taking his house to your museum?
The family donated it.
The family donated
Back
it?
then, well, a lot of the Herrera and Ruiz, everything was donated to the Beauty Museum.
Really?
Yes, and they thought that was the best place for him, at the museums.
Actually, yeah. What better way to preserve it?
Well,
keep it well?
otherwise, it's, from where it was going to be, urban renewal and, back in the 20s as they were redoing the Presidio area and then taking all of the building, faucet furniture and, all those buildings around there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been there
Progress.
anymore, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he fought at the Battle of Medina. He was wounded there, and he was in exile for several years. But after he came back, he lived among the Indians. So he wrote this rare book about Indians in Spanish, and it sits at Yale University among rare books. The second burial site for Colonel Francisco Ruiz. He was buried behind the altar at the San Fernando Cathedral, and then later years they moved him to this site. I read just recently that he had 4 children. I imagine 2 died, young or whatever, but he raised 2 to be adults and do things around here. His daughter married into the Herrera family. Antonia Maria Ruiz. Ever since I found out his burial site, I try to come and bring flowers to his burial site on his birthday. He acquired quite a bit of land because of what he did for the state.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just land grants. The state, the government gave him a lot of land, a lot of the east counties. I think he acquired like 10 leagues of land. It's in the biography before he ended his career. Because of everything he did a lot for the government. And he did serve under 3 flags, the Mexican, the Spanish, and the United States flag. And so the only thing I remember about him when I'm asked about him, if I'm related to him, this is something, well, some of it is recorded. He wrote a famous letter to his son-in-law when he was running, Fort over there in East Texas, saying, telling him to be careful, that to talk to his friends, neighbors and everybody, to not be influenced by the snake. And he was referring to Santa Ana by saying the snake. But he had to write letters like that because, because of the government doings that he was doing. And so now I use that a lot in my doings. I call people the snake when I don't like them. And another thing that was in that letter was that under no circumstances that the people should let Texas go back to the government of Mexico. That only God can do that. So that's another famous saying that he had in his letters. There's just this letter, the particular letter that he wrote to his son-in-law that is still in the hands of the family. Yeah.
Wow.
Because they went on about their lives. The families were real big then and everything. And his son, the only son that he had left, became mayor of San Antonio. He was a mayor when the Battle of the Alamo was fought. And so when everything was over and done, Santa Ana ordered him to burn the bodies. So he burned them.
And that's this.
That's him. And he was called Don Pancho because his name was Francisco. Yes. Yes.
Francisco's son is the alcalde of San Antonio, and that's why on one of my slide presentations was, if you look through your papers, you'll see there where it says, who is this? Do you know who this is?
A lot of people didn't know that.
Who am I? I only learned this, and at my age, I'm over 70, I'll say, and I barely learned it by being associated with Miss Ramos, and I was astounded to see this photo. I had never seen it, and this shows how so much about the Ruiz history has really not ever been told, and that's why it takes years and years for us to get history out.
Yeah.
So through the help of knowledge and people learning.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I had discovered something about all of these first and last mayors. He was, I wanna say, the last mayor of the city of, it wasn't San Antonio until 1836. It was still Fernando de Bejar.
Okay.
So this was the last mayor of Fernando de Bejar. And the first mayor of the city of San Antonio, which is from 1836, is this guy, John Smith, who was a surveyor of all of these places that I've been writing about. And that's the only reason because I kept thinking, well, why is they calling him the first mayor of San Antonio? And,
There was
all
a
these
change,
others.
the change that went on, yes.
The changes that went on.
Now the next thing is just to let y'all know that the Casa Navarro, which is Navarro's home, is now a historical landmark. It got its designation, so that's pretty awesome. And the other thing I'd like to tell y'all about is that Mr. Navarro is now in the insert for the U.S. passport. That was this other little document I gave you there. And it has one of his famous quotes. Now, most of us know his other one, which is about, I've sworn to be a Texan. But what's really unusual about this quote that's in the U.S. passport, what's it called, index to the passport, is what it says. It is so relevant to today's time. Okay, I'm going to read it for you. We are covered by the American banner. Let us cling to it. And if required, sacrifice our lives defending it. Pretty awesome.
No clue.
It's not in the normal passports. You have to buy the insert. It's for the people who get more and more stamps. So it's like $15, they buy it.
Yeah.
All right, and then my ending slide, if we would have had it posted up there, says, thank you for attending, and it says, learning your family history is the key to unlocking who you are.
I like that.
I hope you've enjoyed my
Yes,
presentation.
I
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.